It was discovered at that time Terry Bollea, also known as Hulk Hogan, was experiencing a serious medical-related issue. Personnel provided medical treatment at that time and transported Mr. Bollea to Morton Plant Hospital, where he died at 11:17 a.m.
That made the local authorities quietly hand over the case to the FBI. We will not be answering any questions, but we will provide additional information when it becomes available. Soon, agents were combing through Hogan's mansion, not for memorabilia, but for answers. What they discovered inside those lavish walls didn't just raise eyebrows, it raised alarms. The truth behind the legend's final days shocked everyone. Here's what they found. The morning that ended Hulkamania. On the quiet morning of July 24, 2025, Clearwater, Florida, woke up to heartbreaking and shocking news. Hulk Hogan, born Terry Gene Bollea and known to millions around the world as a wrestling icon, had been found unresponsive in his home at the age of 71. The man who once stood at the center of packed arenas, who had Bodas slammed giants and entertained generations, was suddenly gone. The discovery of his body came in a way no one could have predicted. It started with Hogan's wife, Sky Daly, who returned home early from a wellness retreat. She expected to find Hogan in his usual routine, meditating, training, or perhaps relaxing in his home gym. She expected nothing unusual. This was something she had done many times before, but what she walked into that morning would stay with her for the rest of her life. According to Sky, she entered through the side door, calling out her husband's name. There was no response. The house was quiet, almost too quiet. She walked toward the back where the home gym was located. That room had always been Hogan's sanctuary. It was a space filled with free weights, resistance machines, workout mats, old championship belts hanging on the wall, and banners with bold motivational phrases. Hulk Hogan had spent countless hours in that room, staying fit and maintaining the warrior spirit that had made him a global legend. But on this day, the room felt cold and wrong. As Sky stepped inside, she found her husband lying motionless on the floor near a weight bench. Hulk Hogan wasn't breathing. His skin looked pale. There were no signs of a struggle, but something about the scene immediately felt off. Sky later described it as a moment that would haunt her forever. Panic took over. Emergency services were called right away. Paramedics arrived quickly and attempted CPR. Hulk Hogan was rushed to Morton Plant Hospital where medical staff worked frantically to revive him, but it was too late. At exactly 11:17 a.m., Hulk Hogan was pronounced dead. At first, local news outlets reported what seemed like the most likely explanation. Given Hulk Hogan's age, history of intense physical activity, and the toll of more than 25 surgeries over the years, many assumed the cause was natural. A heart attack or stroke seemed like the obvious answer. However, as the initial response unfolded and investigators examined the home, small but unusual details began to emerge. These details were not obvious at first glance, but to trained eyes, they raised questions. Soon, the local police called in federal authorities for assistance. The FBI was brought onto the scene, and what should have been a routine inquiry suddenly became a tangled mystery. The sterile gym that raised alarms. The gym was the first thing that caught the FBI agents off guard as they stepped into Hulk Hogan's mansion. It was too neat, almost unnaturally so. Hulk Hogan was known to be particular about cleanliness and order, but never to the point of sterility. He kept things tidy, yes, but his gym was always active, lived in, and full of energy. On this day, however, it resembled something else entirely. There were no sweat-soaked towels hanging off inches. There were no protein shake bottles left behind. No dumbbells were out of place. The air didn't carry the usual scent of exertion or fresh rubber from newly used equipment. Everything was perfectly aligned, surfaces wiped down, and weights racked evenly. The mirrors were clean. The floor mats were spotless. It didn't feel like a gym that had been recently used. It felt like one that had been cleaned, staged, and frozen in time. One of the FBI agents I'd seen later described it as eerily sterile, almost staged. But the deeper the agents looked, the more troubling the situation became. The house had a top-tier security system. Hulk Hogan had invested heavily in the best technology available. High-definition surveillance cameras, motion detectors, remote access, backups, and even layered internal systems in case of tampering. Yet, when investigators reviewed the setup, they found something deeply unusual. All systems had been manually disabled from inside the house, not glitched or disrupted by a power outage. Someone had physically accessed the system and shut it down. There were no signs of forced entry. There were not tripped alarms. Given Hulk Hogan's well-documented obsession with privacy and safety, this detail raised immediate red flags. He was not someone who would leave things to chance. For the whole security network to be intentionally disabled meant one of two things. Either Hogan did it himself for reasons unknown, or someone with knowledge of the system and access was inside the house. Soon after, the FBI's cybercrime division and forensic units arrived. They combed through every detail. Nothing was taken at face value. Smart home activity logs were retrieved. Encrypted messages were pulled from cloud backups. Every movement inside and outside the mansion in the past 72 hours was placed under digital scrutiny. Still, the picture remained strange: the pristine gym, the disabled security, no sign of struggle, no forced entry, no digital evidence of an external breach. But what truly cracked the mystery open was a single unexplained phone call that Hulk Hogan had received 3 nights ago. The cryptic call that shook the Hulkster. Just 3 days before his death, Hulk Hogan received a short but deeply unsettling phone call. It came late in the evening. According to Sky Daily, Hulk Hogan listened in silence for nearly a minute, said only one word in response, and then ended the call. He looked pale and shaken afterward. Sky said it was the only time she had seen fear in his eyes since they had been together. It was like something inside him shut off. She later told investigators. He didn't talk about it, but I could tell it bothered him. Something about that call really got to him. This was not a prank or a misdial. Investigators quickly confirmed that the call had been routed through a complex web of foreign servers, likely in multiple countries. The complexity made tracing the origin nearly impossible. Even the FBI's most advanced cybersecurity teams struggled to identify who placed the call or where it came from. The number was unlisted and the signal bounced through so many layers of digital rerouting that any clear trail vanished within seconds. The contents of the call remain classified. However, sources close to the investigation have stated anonymously that the call is now considered a key piece of the puzzle in understanding Hulk Hogan's final days. One source described it as not just a call, but a trigger. Before the call, Hulk Hogan's life had appeared calm and structured. In his later years, thanks in large part to Sky, a respected yoga instructor and wellness coach, he had adopted a healthier, quieter lifestyle. He no longer sought the spotlight. He focused in clean eating, daily meditation, strength training, and emotional healing. According to those closest to him, Hulk Hogan had found a new kind of peace that had eluded him for decades. He was the healthiest I had ever seen him in years, Sky said. He slept well. He smiled more. He finally looked content. Nick Hogan agreed. Dad was in better shape than most 40-year-olds. He followed a strict routine, ate. The story spread quickly, making headlines and casting a shadow over the family's reputation. Hulk Hogan immediately denied the accusations. In his 2009 autobiography, he addressed the scandal directly and strongly rejected the claims. He wrote, "Linda accused me of cheating more times than I can count. But I never crossed that line." Despite his denial, the public damage was already done. The trust within the family was shaken, and the marriage between Hulk and Linda came to a definitive end. Linda filed for divorce in November 2007, bringing their 24-year marriage to a close. The divorce was messy and very public, making it a constant topic for tabloids and entertainment news. The divorce from Linda Claridge wasn't just bitter. It was financially and emotionally devastating. Behind the bravado he was known for, he was crumbling emotionally. He fell into a deep depression and later admitted that he even contemplated suicide during that dark time. Hulk Hogan credited Ila Ali, his co-star on American Gladiators, with helping him survive one of the most difficult periods of his life. He said that her support and presence pulled him back from the edge. He survived, but the scars lingered. By 2010, Hulk Hogan was ready to try again. He married Jennifer McDaniel in a private ceremony. At first, things seemed promising, but over time, cracks appeared, and by 2022, that relationship had also come to an end. Hulk Hogan remained largely private during this time, keeping details of the separation out of the spotlight. No chaos this time, but also no lasting peace. Finally, Sky Daly came into his life. Yoga instructor and mother of 3, Sky entered Hulk Hogan's life at a time when he was seeking peace and stability. She was 25 years younger than him, but their connection was real and fast-growing. In July 2023, Hulk Hogan surprised everyone by proposing to Sky during the wedding reception of actor Corin Neck. The moment was casual yet sincere, and she was crazy enough to say, "Yes, brother." Hulk Hogan joked, "I asked Sky to marry me and she was crazy enough to say yes, brother." Nonetheless, just 2 months later they were married. On September 22, 2023, they exchanged vows at Indian Rocks Baptist Church in Clearwater, Florida. It was a simple but elegant ceremony. Sky wore a beautiful rudisane dress and sparkled in diamond jewelry. The couple exchanged wedding rings said to be worth $500,000. Nick Hogan was there to witness the occasion. However, their decision was not met with universal approval. Hogan's daughter, Brooke, was noticeably absent. She later shared that she was on a personal journey that required her to stay away from family events at that time. Some friends also voiced concern about the fast-paced relationship. Despite the age gap and the complexity soft blending their lives, Sky brought a calming presence into Hogan's world. She was not only his wife but also a source of emotional stability. According to Nick Hogan, she was everything to him. She grounded him. She was his peace. Their marriage seemed to mark a new chapter for Hulk Hogan. A quieter, more centered version of the man who had once ruled the wrestling world. But just as she appeared to be settling into a peaceful retirement, the tragedy of his mysterious death struck. At the time of his death, Sky was away. Nick Hogan opened up about those final moments, revealing was literally counting the minutes until she came back. His words painted a heartbreaking picture. Hulk Hogan had finally found someone who gave him a sense of calm and stability, only to be separated from her during his final hours. The emotional weight of that detail continues to hang over those who were closest to him. For the FBI, the information wasn't gossip. It was context. Because fractured families, estranged children, bitter ex-spouses, these can all be flashpoints. Could old wounds have reopened? Could hidden financial or legal disputes have played a role? As one investigator reportedly put it, when a man like Hulk Hogan dies, we're not just looking at the last 24 hours. We're looking at 40 years of enemies, debts, and shadows. Rumors, public silence, and Hogan's health. The second layer of the investigation focused on Hogan's body itself. At 71, natural causes seemed likely, but almost immediately, contradictions surfaced. Just 2 months before his death in May 2025, Hulk Hogan underwent a major medical procedure, a 4-level anterior cervical discectomy infusion known in medical terms as an ACDF surgery. This type of operation is considered high risk, especially at his age and when performed on multiple levels of the spine, but it was not entirely unexpected for a man who had endured decades of grueling matches and countless body slams. His body had taken more punishment than most human beings could endure. Friends and family were concerned, but Hogan seemed determined to push through. That's when the rumors began. Shortly after the surgery, popular shock jock Todd Clem, better known to many as Bubba the Love Sponge, made a stunning claim on live radio. He told his audience that Hulk Hogan had slipped into a coma. According to him, the condition was so grave that Hulk Hogan's family had already been called to the hospital to say their final goodbyes. Fans and fellow wrestlers prematurely feared that Hulkamania's end was imminent, and social media erupted with speculation, sorrow, and confusion. However, Sky Daly quickly stepped in to stop the growing panic. She took to Instagram to issue a firm and clear denial of the rumors. No, he's definitely not in a coma. His heart is strong, and there was never any lack of oxygen or brain damage. None of those rumors are true, she wrote. And for a time, her statement calmed some fans. Hogan even appeared healthier than ever in public, smiling with fans and training again at home. But the seeds of doubt had been planted. Medical